During the Second World War, as the war turned against the German army, the Soviet Red Army advanced throughout German lands with retribution and brutality. The Red Army soldiers' reputation was trampled into the mud for committing horrific war crimes against people of Berlin. Many of crimes were directed towards women. Approximately 1 in 3 women were assaulted by Allied soldiers, mostly from the Red Army. Many women committed suicide after being assaulted, some forced to do so by their fathers because of their dishonor, while others were shot and killed by their husbands for consenting to romantic relations with Allied soldiers. What could be expected from a soldier whose family was assaulted, tortured and burned alive? What Germans did on the territory of the Soviet Union is quite well known. As the Soviet Union had been invaded by Germany years before, the Germans had committed many war crimes, therefore the Soviets believed in retribution. But during the Battle of Berlin, the final battle of the Second World War in Europe, the Red Army committed uniquely horrific war crimes. When the Red Army soldier advanced into Germany, it was said, "Woe to the land of murderers. We will avenge everything, and our revenge will be terrible." In many cities and towns, every woman between the age of 10 and 80 was assaulted. As this terrible horror was ongoing, Stalin and his commanders justified and even encouraged more assault, not only on the German women, but also on their allies. By the time the Red Army reached Berlin, its awful reputation had already intimidated a great number of German population. Many of them had to run for their lives. Although the helpless ones resisted, the ordeal of German women did not end there. How many German women were assaulted in total? One can only guess, but they make up a significant percentage. Soviet soldiers viewed assault as revenge for German atrocities on the territory of the Soviet Union. Often carried out in front of a woman's husband and family members, as a best alternative way to humiliate the German nation. The Red Army troops also assaulted a large number of Russian and Polish women who were released from the concentration camps. The behavior of Soviet soldiers was quite inhuman and unimaginable horror. The soldiers treated women almost like living trophies. They felt that since they were liberating Europe, they could do as they pleased. It is very disturbing because you might begin to realize that civilization is terribly superficial, and its facade can be torn down in a very short time. In many ways, the fate of women and girls in Berlin is far worse than that of the soldiers who starved and suffered in Stalingrad. The long columns of Soviet troops that entered East Prussia in January 1945 had different characters. Among them were outright bandits, drunkards and ravager, as well as idealist communists and intellectuals who were shocked by the behavior of their comrades. However, vast majority of soldiers used to drink dangerous chemicals stolen from laboratories that played a significant role in their horrific behavior. Apparently, the Soviet soldiers could only attack women after getting liquid courage. But at the same time, they often got too drunk to such a state that they could not complete the act and used bottles instead. Some of the victims were disfigured in this way. A sense of superiority and humiliation characterized the behavior of most of the soldiers towards the women of East Prussia. The victims not only paid for the crimes of the Wehrmacht, but also symbolized an atavistic object of aggression. Assault was viewed as a conqueror's right. It was horrifically directed against the women of the enemy to emphasize victory. Many women were forced to surrender to one soldier in the hope that he would protect them from others. Soon women learned to hide during the evening, hunting hours. Young daughters were hidden in attics for several days. Mothers went out for water only in the morning, so as not to fall under the arm of Soviet soldiers. Sometimes the greatest danger came from neighbors who gave away the places where the girls were hiding in an attempt to save their own daughters. If someone tried to protect a woman from a Soviet soldier, it was either a father trying to protect his daughter, or a son trying to protect his mother. The assault of German women left a bitter legacy. The victims themselves were permanently traumatized. German women of the military generation still refer to the war in Berlin as the tomb of the unknown predators.